automatic translation tools, ChatGPT, and who knows what's coming next. Like it or not, artificial intelligence tools are booming and are definitely here to stay. So what does that mean for language learning? Do we still have to learn foreign languages in order to communicate with people from other countries? Or would that be a waste of time, as we would be able to say anything we want in our native language, and with a click of a button we can render the message into another one? Hey there, I'm Daniela, a foreign language lover, a pronunciation nerd, an English teacher, and a fluency coach. In this video, I'll talk about the pros and cons of learning a foreign language in the future. You might think, but what cons can there possibly be? Doesn't knowing a foreign language give you the chance to meet more people and even live abroad? Well, yes. That's true. But as I mentioned, now we have technology that allows us to communicate without even speaking the language we want to communicate in. So some people wouldn't want to spend the time and effort. Now let's compare some advantages and potential disadvantages that can result from learning a foreign language. One of the most obvious advantages of having a good knowledge of a foreign language compared to relying on an AI-based translator is the efficiency of communication. When you speak a foreign language fluently, you can engage directly and spontaneously with others, facilitating a smoother and more natural exchange of ideas. In contrast, it's hard to imagine a translator working without any delay. Using a translation system involves multiple steps. First, you need to express a thought in a language you know, and only then can the translation system convert it into the target language. This process inevitably introduces pauses and potential misunderstandings, which can hinder the flow of conversation. If all parties involved in the conversation have enough time and willingness to put extra effort into exchanging information, using an AI translator might be feasible. However, this ideal scenario is often unrealistic in many real-world situations. For instance, consider a scenario where you are at a business meeting, conference, or social gathering where everyone speaks a language that you don't know and you want to be an active participant in the conversation. In such situations, the efficiency and immediacy of direct communication are crucial. Having to rely on a translator can make you feel isolated and disconnected, as you might miss out on the nuances, cultural references, and immediacy of the interactions. Now, let's talk about one of the downsides of learning a foreign language. And this is that it takes a lot of time and effort. Becoming proficient in a foreign language can take years of dedicated study and practice. This time and effort could be invested in acquiring other skills or knowledge in other areas that might be more immediately beneficial or relevant to your career or personal interests. We all know that young children learn languages effortlessly, but when we study a foreign language later in life, we have to invest time, effort, and often money. We're also constantly afraid of making grammar mistakes and not remembering the word we want to use at the moment. And this leads to frustration. Of course, we're all different. Some people enjoy learning foreign languages, but others see it as a chore that they must do and are often upset with how long it takes to become a fluent and confident speaker in another language. So if you belong to the second group, and if you don't live abroad or need to speak another language to advance in your career, for example, the AI language and translation tools would be a great option when you travel or occasionally need to communicate in a language you don't speak. However, the ability to understand and speak in your target language will give you many more opportunities if you choose to live and work abroad. And speaking of living and working abroad, the next advantage of actually knowing the language and not just using AI tools to translate is new horizons that open for you if you choose to relocate to another country. You're going to encounter the local language in every corner. Knowing the local language allows for smoother interactions with locals and better navigation of everyday situations. It's true that in some countries like Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands, for example, you don't really have to speak the local language to get around. But you'll at least have to have a decent proficiency in English if you really want to live and work there. English has become the international language, and knowing it is a big advantage. I have another video about English as a lingua franca. Check it out later to understand why and how it has become the global language. I'll put the link in the description box. When it comes to living abroad, as I already mentioned, knowing the local language, or at least English if that's not the local language, is a must if you want to navigate smoothly and build a life there. But learning a foreign language as an adult almost always means having a foreign accent. It can be strong or super mild, but almost always detectable by native speakers. This leads me to the next disadvantage I'm going to talk about: speaking with a foreign accent. Don't get me wrong, having a foreign accent is a sign that you speak more than one language, a fact that you have to be proud of. Some people also love the fact that they don't sound like a native speaker of a particular language because it makes them more unique, and it's often a great conversation starter. It makes other people more interested in them. But I mention it here as a disadvantage just because many people don't want their accent to be the first thing others notice about them. Constant questions like, "Where are you from?" or "Where is your accent from?" makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And God forbid someone asks them to repeat what they've said. They always blame themselves for any communication challenges. While you can acquire a very rich vocabulary and use perfect grammar, learning how to pronounce sounds you might have not been exposed to in your native language could be daunting and discouraging. Let's talk about the next advantage of learning a foreign language. According to research on cognitive benefits of being bilingual, speaking more than one language leads to increased attention. The reason is that when we speak in one language, we don't switch our brains off from the other language we know. And in order to maintain the balance between two languages, the bilingual brain uses executive functions, which are general cognitive skills that include attention and self-control. This is priceless considering the fact that most people nowadays struggle to stay focused as a result of the rise of the internet, social media, and information overload. Learning a foreign language actually increases your brain's gray matter and seems to improve its function overall. This will increase your memory and problem-solving skills. According to research, switching between multiple languages seems to reshape the brain. This mental effort seems to increase gray matter volume in areas involved in learning and short-term memory retention. By the way, I will leave the links to all sources that I mentioned in the description box below. An advantage that comes from struggling with foreign phonemes and prosody is improved listening skills, increased attention, and increased executive skills. For example, according to a study conducted by the University of Chicago, business people make more effective decisions when evaluating problems in a language that is not their native one. But speaking of focus and attention, a slight disadvantage of committing to learning more than one foreign language might be that it's difficult to memorize so many foreign words and unfamiliar grammar. Although some polyglots say that every next language is a little easier because you find similarities with the languages you have already learned, you still need the brain capacity to remember new vocabulary and grammar rules. Of course, in this case, using an AI language tool to translate would be much easier. It might be challenging to learn all the languages you want to if you have limited time. But I think you should still at least strive to learn English because, as I said before, it's become the global language and speaking it will give you more opportunities. And when it comes to opportunities, another important advantage of speaking good English is career advancement. In today's globalized world, Proficiency in English is often a prerequisite for career growth and success. Many employers place a high value on language skills, particularly English, as it facilitates effective communication across borders and cultures. Being multilingual, especially with a solid command of English, can significantly broaden job prospects and open doors to opportunities in international markets. Companies operating globally often look for employees who can communicate fluently and confidently in English. It enhances collaboration, negotiation, and business interactions with international clients and partners. In many industries, proficiency in English is not just preferred, but essential. For roles in areas such as finance, technology, marketing, and academia, a strong command of English is often a requirement. This proficiency enables professionals to access a wider range of job opportunities from multinational corporations to global startups. A slight disadvantage, though, is that you might spend a lot of time learning a language but don't have the opportunity to use it. In order to keep up with that language, you have to constantly apply it. Unlike our native language, which we can't forget if we don't stop using it early in life, a foreign language can get rusty if we don't put it to use often. As they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. And because I'm a foreign language lover, I want to end it with something positive. So another advantage, and I think it's one of the biggest ones, is that learning a foreign language expands your cultural horizons. Knowing another language doesn't mean just memorizing vocabulary and following grammar rules. It also involves knowing the culture of the people who speak it, applying the right body language, and feeling comfortable with local expressions. This definitely can be achieved by using a translation tool. Exposure to other cultures makes you more open-minded and empathetic. Empathy is the ability to understand other people's feelings and point of view. And being more empathetic means being a better human overall. Julian Lehr, the writer and linguist who founded the Marco Polo Project, an organization that explores new models for cross-cultural education, discovered how learning a language can develop empathy when he started studying Chinese at the age of 30. He describes his struggle with the language as fantastic because it taught him humility and empathy for people who come from different parts of the world and might struggle to express themselves. If you want to learn more about his experience, I'll put the link in the description box. Okay, now that I mentioned some of the pros and cons of putting the time and effort into studying a foreign language, I conclude that there is no one-fits-all solution. Using technology can actually enhance language learning if we use it right and have patience. Let me know in the comments if you use any tech tools to learn English or any other language. If you guys found this video helpful, click on the like button and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to also click on the little bell button to get notified every time I post new content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.